Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. It's Thursday. Nate and Josh are coming here with 4 games on the NBA for you guys. Going to be looking at some sides and totals looks. Got plenty of player props as well in this one. Bunch of teams on the back-to-back, so make sure you are checking those injury reports. But we're coming back to you with best bets and player props in one episode each and every weekday moving forward. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Continue to follow along with us all season. Let's get into, honestly, man, a game that I'm interested in. It's the Pacers and the Hornets. Might not seem like two very good teams, but it's going to be an interesting game.
Safe to say it has at least 25% of your attention tonight.
There you go.
4 games. But yeah, I mean, Charlotte, it's interesting that they're 7-0 ATS on back-to-backs this year. I can run through that in a minute. I think I can fade that to a degree. And the Pacers, as they're creeping up to like 4.5, 5, might be worth a play on the spread because who they've played on back-to-backs, the Hornets, the injured Bulls recently, the Wizards twice, the road Jazz. They got smacked by OKC, who they got back at later. Toronto without RJ Barrett, and Atlanta in a randomly slow-paced game without a couple of the Hornets guys. So those games have been low-scoring. That's my point here. They've still scored, though. The Hornets, they've averaged their normal 118, which is what they've averaged in their last 8 during this hot stretch, and even in their last 3 without LaMelo Ball, in case he doesn't play or plays fewer minutes tonight. They've maintained that pace, that scoring. They've played slow, but they've been elite, right? I mean, 3rd best offensive rating, I think, in the last 7 are the Charlotte Hornets, and lighting it up from downtown and from the wings and from the corners. And so, I mean, that's why I love Kon Knueppel here against the Pacers defense. That's really sunk it in with no center, with Jay Huff out there just getting smoked. So they've sunk in and they've given up a ton of corner threes recently. And the fact that the Hornets have played slow, I think they're going to bring them out of that shell, the Pacers, because they played at the 3rd fastest pace. They've gone over in 6 of their last 7 since getting Aaron Nesmith back. So in these 7 games with the 2nd worst defensive rating, you say so the market's driving this down. It's down 5 points because, well, the Pacers suck, right? I mean, they can't possibly score. Well, they've gotten points up, and they suck enough on defense that the other team is scoring. I mean, the 2nd worst free throw rate, 2nd most paint points, easy for me to say. And I mean, Charlotte, if they don't have LaMelo, maybe they're attacking the basket more. You get more Colin Sexton, you get worse defense there. And really, when you have all those wings, whether LaMelo's in there or not, this Charlotte Hornets offense has been pretty prolific. And I trust Nesmith now to kind of inject some life into the Pacers and keep them competitive. Nembhard also questionable. I'm interested to hear what you think. I mean, I think that helps an over even more.
Yeah, more TJ McConnell would definitely lead to more of an over. Nembhard's been good. He hasn't been awesome or somebody that they've super relied on. He's up and down in terms of the scoring. The assists pretty much live around 6 for him. And yeah, he's a late questionable tag. So it does kind of make you think that he might be coming out. I don't know that that'll do much to the total. I think, that the pace is what you key in on, and the poor rebounding for the Pacers, worst rebound percentage in the last 10, basically 3rd worst on the season. So waive Tony Bradley, Isaiah Jackson's not playing. So there's gonna be a lot of crashing the offensive boards for this Hornets team here with Musa playing and everything. But points make more sense to me in this one with the Hornets still being a really fast team and the 2nd best offense in the league over the last 7 games. As you mentioned, I think they're 2nd or 3rd. So looking at Cleveland and Minnesota, I don't love backing Cleveland, but Ant is also questionable now. That's a late add to the injury report. He has not been 100%. I don't know I really don't know if he's going to go in this one, which is going to be played in Minnesota. But I think the Cleveland coming in, they're just different on offense. And Donnie sat this last game against the Pacers that they won by 4 points and had to pull it out at the end, because it was the Pacers and they wanted him to sit so that he would be in full for the Minnesota Timberwolves in this game. And now we're coming in with him in a situation where just starting with him on the 30 points, man, it's so weird, but everything's just different this year. Minnesota is pretty similar in how they're playing on defense, but they're dead last limiting primary ball handlers on defense. They're 30th because they're number 1 limiting spot up stuff. So that obviously makes sense. They're just 100% not going to double team. Even if you get by your guy one-on-one when you're playing against the Timberwolves, they're just going to assume that Rudy can clean it up. This has not been Rudy's best year defensively. Things are definitely changing a bit down low. And because he plays so close to the rim, they're still going to be a top 10 defense at the rim, but they are a bottom 5 defense in the other parts of the painted area where Donnie loves to get his floater up, right? Like he's scoring. Donnie's every kind of scorer. He's one of these dudes that kind of trumps matchup, but this is perfect for him because he doesn't really want to pass. Like we're watching him play, and he's not going to necessarily have lanes to do so. This team is going to limit everything in the corners. They limit their third limiting stuff in the corners. They overall, they are still really good above the break because they will force you off the 3-point line. Again, really not worried about that for Donovan Mitchell, who will be able to get his own shot off, especially on the drop coverage with Rudy. Do like the idea of the threes, even though he will have Jaden McDaniels on him. I'm still not, like I said, worried about that. And Darius Garland's come up is only good for everybody because he really couldn't even get into the lane without just getting shoved off of his trajectory when he was driving. And he looks like Darius Garland now, and it's all about the start-stop for him. I'm not going to get too much into it and get into basketball nerd talk, but like his quick cuts are crucial to everything he does. And he's been able to find Donnie for a lot more open catch and shoot in the last 7 games. So love Donovan to get 30 plus. I think it's like a 35 night for him.
Yeah, I mean, the key thing with an SGP is, right, like the Cavs are not going to win unless it's like these things are tied together. Like unless Donnie has a nice night here coming off the rest. I mean, Garland coming on strong is maybe a little concerned that he won't have that insane usage, but like you said, it just opens things up. And look no further than the Jalen Tyson props for like why Donovan Mitchell's going to shoot a lot more. I mean, granted, Tyson had a bad game and he's sick, but he's down to like plus 150 to hit 2 threes because they're not going to force Donnie to kick, right? They're going to leave him on an island with Jaden McDaniels and he can score. Yep. I really like this SGP. And I mean, you might play with it a little bit because I mean, Miami minus 6.5 is probably fine here at Chicago. Bulls on a back-to-back. Bulls extremely shorthanded, won't even need to really go into who's out for them. Just suffice to say that their offense is going to be awful again, and that's going to lead to a lot of rebounding opportunities. And Ware, who's at a career high 22% total rebounding rate, is also at 14.5% offensive rebounding rate, which is up 5% from last year. As I pointed out on last night's show, the Bulls been allowing a league high 16 OREBs per game since Josh Giddey went down 5 games ago. As far as Ware, he has 8+ boards in 11 of his last 12. The one actually he only got to 7 was no Bam, and that's interesting. I mean, his rebounds per game are higher when Bam is out because his minutes per game are 7 minutes higher, but his rebound rate is actually higher when Bam is in there because Bam is one of those centers that will, selfless guy. He will box out, he will clear out and let this huge power forward that he's playing with come sweep in there and grab it. And Bam is also dealing with back soreness, and this is not a matchup to really stress yourself against the shorthanded Bulls. So with Bam active, that being said, 8 rebounds and 10 straight for Ware. He did go for 20 and 14 at Chicago with Bam active in November, and the Bulls shot 41% in that game, though the Heat absolutely shellacked them. Bulls are 2-4 ATS on back-to-backs. There's really no reason to be scared of the Heat spread here. So feel free to play to move it up for plus money if you want to take them at minus 4.5 or whatnot.
Yeah, I don't know why it would be weird. I mean, last night's game was really weird with Detroit for Chicago, but then Detroit sat Cade Cunningham. The only weirdness for Miami is like Tyler Hero being back. He didn't start last game. But he still played 29. I'm not sure if he comes in and takes Ware's spot in the starting lineup, but I think the key here is the Bam stuff. Like I think Kel'el Ware for sure started last game because they were playing Minnesota, but you could also make the argument now that Spo is going to be bringing Tyler Hero off the bench since they have Norm Powell in the starting lineup now. Don't necessarily need Tyler scoring in there. And what else is he bringing besides scoring? Like nothing. So I prefer to have Ware out there in the starting lineup. We'll see what Spo does, but I think Ware's in line for some good minutes, especially if this thing gets out of control and Bam does spend a lot more time on the bench. And this is your center moving forward with like Jovic getting backup minutes. But let me talk about my boy for a minute, Isaiah Collier. This is when you bet on him. It is the second night of a back-to-back for the Jazz. We should at least mention that they only lost by 5 in overtime to the Thunder last night. So for all everyone playing like Thunder blowouts and trying to figure out how to bet on that, like don't necessarily take that for granted right now. And the Jazz are definitely feisty despite continuing to be able to lose in the right spots. But it looks like they're playing their guys tonight. Like I do think George and Markkanen look like they're going to be a go, even though you might have, and even Nurkic, and you might have considered them out in this one. Like the Jazz have normally sat them on the back-to-back when they play a bad team like the Mavs and play them in a good team like the Thunder on the front end. But now they're keeping them all in, and I'm still not worried about it because Collier's minutes aren't necessarily strictly tied to that. And if he's at 24 minutes, then I'm still going to have him at an 8 assist projection, which seems insane, but that's what he's coming out here and doing. This is like Andre Miller on the Nuggets kind of stuff, where it's like, I'm not even looking at the rim, dude. I'm just trying to find the guy I'm passing to for an open assist. So if you look at him in games where he does get at least 24 minutes, then his potential assists go up to 17.5 per 24 minutes. That's insane. 17.5 should absolutely be enough to get you 7, even if it is the Jazz against the Mavs defense that is still not good. Like, it'll be better because Max Christie is back, so they'll be a bit better at defending the shooters. But Collier's coming off the bench, so we're talking about like maybe Brandon Williams. Does D'Lo still play on this team for the Mavs? Like, there's nobody on the not Ryan Nembhard will be the other guy. Not too worried about his defense. He's not Andrew Nembhard. So yeah, I think Collier's going to be fine getting into the lane and getting minutes enough in this spot to get his 7 assists.
It's a best bet. It's been Josh's moneymaker. So yes, it's a player prop. But I mean, if you look at against not OKC or the Spurs, Isaiah Collier's done this in 10 straight, 12 straight. Like, he just does it against every team that isn't like a very fantastic defense. So makes sense to me. Speaking of guys who are consistent, we got Kon Knueppel, the prospective Rookie of the Year runner up. And I mean, coming off an 11-point game against Toronto, he's gone 14 straight games without going under 19 points twice. And it being a back-to-back, you like the young guy. Again, you consider Melo playing fewer minutes or not being active. If he is active, I mean, that just Kon has lit it up from 3. He's 44% from 3 when Melo is active. If not, he scores 4 more points per game, 22 when LaMelo sits. The Pacers, like I said, have been stingy on above the break threes, but allowing 47% on corner threes in their last 10. Kon did hit he had 28 points. He had 5 threes against the Pacers in the previous matchup. His splits also jumped. His shooting splits are better when Brandon Miller is active. And in his last hot stretch, these 14 games where he's mostly been over 18.5 points, averaging 21, shooting 46% from 3, shooting 58% on the corner threes. So it's mostly the threes, but I mean, the Pacers, they're going to be aware of that. They're going to be running him off the line. And his offensive game is just so versatile. Like, he just reacts perfectly to what the defense is doing. On back-to-backs, he's also shooting 52% from 3. And the Hornets, like I said, their offense has not tailed off at all on back-to-backs, in part because of this young buck.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kon, I think everybody's a good look. I mean, these guys are going to be available. It looks like LaMelo's going to play, but LaMelo's at like 28. Not sure what the conspiracy theory is behind why LaMelo Ball isn't playing more than 28 minutes. Maybe it is because he's just always out, and now they're able to keep him in because they're not playing him 36 minutes with a 36% usage. Maybe that's what it is. But you know who helps them do that is Kon Knueppel, who is indubitably their best offensive player, man. I don't think it's really much of a question. I know LaMelo is skills out the yin yang for days that Kon won't ever have. This is just about getting the ball in the net. And this dude's as good as anybody on their team at doing that. And yeah, the back-to-back doesn't really impact him, but he's 19 a night. That's it. He's 19 a night. So I'll take 18.5 in a really, really good spot for him. I'm going with Bridges here as well. His teammate in this one against the Pacers, worst rebounding team in the league as far as I'm concerned. Most opportunities that are available as well because they play fast and they can't rebound. They're not going to have much more rebounding in this one. Jay Huff is not a great rebounder. In fact, Johnny Furphy might be their best rebounder playing in the starting lineup in this game. I know it's a funny name, but it really is going to be Johnny Furphy. And I actually don't mind his boards if we get a look at that. But I love Miles Bridges in this spot, in these types of spots. Like, he still only has Musa. This is a situation where he's going to be guarding Pascal. I've actually attacked this consistently, which is like, who's guarding Pascal? Where Pascal stands on the court and where he does his work on offense is perfect for his defender to be in line for some really good rebounds. Plus, if you have Musa on a guy like Jake, this is what I'm saying. I love centers to rebound against this team because they dominate, but I love power forwards to rebound who are good rebounders even more because of guys like Jay Huff who are running around the 3-point line and not really standing anywhere near a dunker spot or anything like that. So the center's not in position. I don't mind Musa, but at 11.5 for in his matchup, I love this at 6.5 for Miles and could see him getting a double-double in this type of situation. So when it's not really anything other than that in the back-to-backs, there's a bit of an angle too, because LaMelo does see a little bit of a regression in minutes. It's really just 27 for him. And there have been other guys who consistently miss back-to-backs, but Miles has played all of them. So he is a guy that they're like, look, let's just rely on you for some usage. And I think if you took the PR as well, I think like 18.5 points, I think he's good for like a 20-7, 20-8 kind of night.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, connector guys are very good against the Pacers as well, and that's exactly what Miles Bridges is. I laugh when you say Johnny Furphy, just sort of because of the name, but also because he might be the best play on the Pacers side tonight as far as some value, because they're just kind of turning the page towards like, who can we develop here
Maybe
at
not
this
best
point?
player, but like most used player.
Best play, I mean, best
I see. Oh, best play
best
to bet
value
on
bet.
tonight. All right,
Yes.
I'm with you.
Lauri Markkanen under 27.5 points. I think the theory here being that the Jazz, they, as you mentioned, they make some tweaks to their rotation when somebody's playing a little too well, when they need to make sure that they lose a game because they don't want to lose that protected pick. Having just beat the Thunder last night, that's got to ruffle management to be like, that's exactly what we don't want to do. And so now playing on back to back after the OT loss, like Markkanen's been good in his 6 back to backs this year, but he's been held to 24.7 minutes per game, in part because points per game, because in part because of the minutes. So under 25 points despite shooting 50 and 52%, indicates the Jazz being like, okay, well, we have an excuse here to limit his minutes. We're not going to get fined because they got fined specifically for Markkanen making up injuries last year, right? And so but on the back to back, you can't attack NBA teams for this. They're going to have to manage the players the way they want. And yes, he dropped 33 on Dallas earlier this season. It was not on incredible efficiency. It was due to a lot of minutes in overtime. Recently Dallas is actually number 1 limiting points per game to power forwards, under 12 points per game, which is incredible. And they've been giving up a ton of assists to power forwards in their last 15, in part because AD and Flag both out there, both rangy guys, we're going to make him passable a little bit more, and hopefully not go for like 28 to 30.
Yeah, agree with everything, and we'll add that you actually should mention that Daniel Gafford and AD are starting together. So this is like the AD matchup. And that's why I like AD, which I'll talk about in a second. But I also love adding the boards. They're 7.5, and I do not think. Basically, last game, AD. Let me just get into the AD stuff. I'm fading Markkanen with you, and I'm going over on AD rebounds because everything I'm about to say is so correlated to AD getting his boards that I'll just put this graphic up while I talk about it. Lauri is going to have to go up against this man on the rebounds. That's it. That's what it is. And Nurk is going to be going up against Gafford, which that evens out to me, right? Big body versus tall, lankier guy. But I do think Gafford's going to be okay for like 7.5 boards as well. I just prefer AD, who I do see as on the Markkanen matchup. He wants to play the 4, and they are showcasing AD. Let's be hyper clear that he is not going to be on the Mavs for that long. This is a showcase situation where they're playing him, and they're playing him 36 minutes. And if they thought AD was the future in any way alongside Flag and when Kyrie comes back, etc., do you think they'd be playing 36 minutes in a season that they're not going to touch the playoffs? I don't. So I think it makes obvious sense that he's auditioning for wherever he's going to end up before February. This is going to be one of the best trade deadlines that we've had in a minute. I hope it doesn't let us down this year. But when you look at AD in 36 minutes, he is 13.5 boards in those situations. This is the Jazz. They are now, I keep calling the Pacers the worst rebounding team. If you want to talk about actual stats on the season, this is the worst rebounding team in the Jazz in terms of allowing stuff to bigs, essentially, specifically. Actually, pretty good rebounding guards when you look at Keontae George and he's been playing this year. But more importantly, like for AD in his matchup, I just think you see him eating up Lauri Markkanen and spitting him up and chewing him out, right? So like chewing him up and spitting him out. That's what I meant to say. So I do think AD is going to be good for a big game here. This is like, I'm going to play the boards. I'll probably do like a 28 and 15. Hasn't been scoring quite as much, so maybe it's just a ladder of the rebounds, but I want to get to like 15 boards.
Yeah, the points were let me down 2 nights ago, but yeah, he is still kind of on a good rest spot because he had a few days off before that Kings matchup and absolutely ate glass in that one, even with Nurk back in there. Klingon had like 18 boards against the Jazz. It was the road Jazz, and we always talk about home road Jazz, and here they are back home. But yes, they played an overtime game last night in OKC. It's gonna be a hard spot for them to find a lot of points. And so that Dallas defense has been pretty good producing rebounding opportunities.
Yeah, and I think what we're saying here is like be wary of backing starters for the Jazz in a spot where they're going back to back. They want to make sure they lose. So like this could be an easy like we're tanking by playing our backups in the middle of the third quarter kind of thing for the Jazz at this point. So be careful of that, but I think that just means more misses, more AD. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are subscribed to that channel. Coming back with plenty more action for you each and every weekday in the NBA. And should mention, we're going to continue on in the playoffs here with stuff on lineups on the channel here for YouTube for the NFL playoffs as well. So we'll have stuff for this weekend for you guys. So until we see you next, happy betting.